Oh, no, I just said that. That's what she. One was like, yeah, I got her a bag of flour. Put it on the counter with a card. So just flour.
See, I love stuff like that.
She wasn't biting on the virtual flowers.
Definitely integration of the signature here by the time we get down to the last one. Alright, everybody all set?
Yeah.
I think we are on there and we're all set on that.
We are.
And our technology all ready to go. Alright, welcome to the Pittsfield Town Council meeting for Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is adoption of the regular minutes held on, the minutes of the regular meeting held on December 1st, 2020, and the budget workshop that was held on December 1st, 2020.
Move we adopt the town council minutes from Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, and the workshop meeting of Tuesday, December 1st, 2020.
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections to those, either of those meeting minutes?
I just have one question because I wasn't able to attend. In the page 2 of the council budget workshop agenda minutes, under C, undetermined, I was wondering if it was actually determined that we were going to put the $45,000 into the 2021 budget.
It was not determined.
Okay,
It was a
thank you.
suggestion.
Okay. I just had a question to try to clarify that. Other than that, I have no other questions.
Thank you. Any other questions, counselors? Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes for the December 21st regular meeting of the town council and the budget workshop held the same evening, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Presentations, congratulations, and introductions. Catherine?
Yes, for community and economic development and activities and events will be brief this evening as the agenda is long. I wanted to announce that I have been advised that the promotional video on Pittsfield is nearly 100% complete. Black Fly Media and our Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation Director Gary R. Jordan Jr. are making a few minor revisions. I was asked today for the town logo, which means they're almost ready to go. And that was the logo that we had approved after the contest prior to the bicentennial. And it would be good to have this roll out for the new year, so they're working hard to do that. And the Peak Director, Michael Gray, sent me the latest clip today. If any of the councilors would like to see it, I can send it to you. Otherwise, what we get, we'll be getting the final version for your review shortly. And then all councilors will get that automatically. It looks really good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public hearings and old business. There is none. Reports. Council committees. Finance committee.
We have not had another meeting since you guys met last. We only had.
Oh, you weren't here. That's right, that was the evening your son had his induction.
That was a budget workshop meeting though, that wasn't a
that
finance
wasn't
committee meeting.
finance.
Right.
So we haven't had
We
another
haven't had
meeting.
one. Okay.
No,
There's so many now, it's so hard to keep track of.
it is
what-
really hard to keep track of.
Yeah, this time, yeah.
Okay, so no finance committee
You
meeting.
should be
and
taking the minutes for them, I'm like, this is discussed at this.
And
meeting.
I don't believe we have one on the books for a future meeting, correct, Catherine?
Correct,
Yeah,
we'll reorganize.
yeah.
And we do not have an ordinance committee scheduled yet. That will be upcoming once we finish our budgetary things and have items ready to go on that. Recycling, Tim's not here this evening, but they do not have any meetings scheduled at this time either. Board and committee updates by town councilors and town manager.
The Recreation and Parks Committee held a special meeting last Thursday. They went over the Recreation Director's job description to see if they wanted to provide any input on that and asked that I not advertise that until they could. Frankly, because it's around the holidays, that's not a good time to advertise anyway, and we don't have a lot of programs set up, so as long as we get somebody on board in time to do the spring sports, if they're going to take place, that will be sufficient. And so I have not heard back from them, but I will state, I had another meeting that night. They left at 9 o'clock, so they spent 2.5 hours discussing recreation. They're very committed. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Town manager's report.
For the town manager's report, it will be brief this evening, as the agenda is not. So, number one, for Pittsfield residents and businesses, we're coming up to the year 2021. The town council had voted on a new transfer station fee system with transfer station stickers. Those stickers will be available this Thursday, the 17th, for sale for the year 2021. By January 31st, 2021, all residents and businesses will need to have their new sticker purchased so that they can enter the transfer station. So we basically have 1.5 months for that. And the fees are all listed on the town's website.
So what happens if someone doesn't get their, is there a,
Yes, so the resident sticker fee is $20 a year because it's going to be for the entire year. And then the contractors or businesses will be $40 per year. So what we'll do is we will do a Facebook posting on numerous sites as well as the Heart of Pittsfield. Put this out on the town website, which gets over 31,000 hits per month, which is more than it got when we had the Egg Festival, which was usually a lot, and that's because people are using technology a lot more. So that will be advertised heavily, but they will need to have their new sticker. They're getting a month grace period because the stickers didn't come in at the beginning of December. When Donnie, our transfer station coordinator, had ordered them, he was told it would be months because the screen printers were backed up, but they got done, and so we have them.
and is there a penalty for not getting it by the end of January?
They won't be able to go to the transfer station.
So you can't purchase any after January 31st?
Oh, no, you can
Oh.
purchase them all year, but in order to go in the transfer station, you have to have the sticker, and I believe it's green now.
And that what she's saying is that they have until January 31st to have it on their vehicles, but after that point, if they don't, they can't enter. But they're not going to be penalized for not having it before then.
Correct, it'll cost the same amount all
Okay.
year. And so we'll advertise that heavily, and people are used to the process since we did it for the first time. And so this time, as people have indicated, that could be such a nice Christmas present for your spouses, relatives, and neighbors. Number 2, and the last item, happy holidays from all the town employees to all the citizens and businesses in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, on to new business. Ordinance 20-13.
Ordinance 20-13, a public hearing. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains the 2021 capital budget be approved as follows. Town offices / computers and digitization, $15,000. Municipal building reserve, $5,000. Police / cruiser, $44,980. Police / station reserve, $5,000. Fire / station reserve, $5,000. Public works / garage roof repairs, $10,000. Public works / garage reserve, $5,000. Total projects and reserves are $89,980. Total projects and reserves for everything is $1,658,480, with a funding breakdown of funding by loan, $500,000 or $500,000. Funding by lease purchase, $815,000. Funding by reserves, $15,000. Funding by special revenues, $8,500. Funding by grants, $65,000. Funding by other resources, such as donations and other funding, $165,000. Total to be raised by taxation, $89,980.
Move we adopt ordinance 20-13.
Move we set.
Well, it's.
Oh, sorry, we have to set it to public hearing, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, no, we're at the public
This
hearing.
is our
This is the
public
hearing.
hearing. Tonight's our public hearing.
Oh, that's
So
right.
what
I don't
we're
think
gonna
we-
do is see if there's anybody on Zoom that wants to make any comments, which I don't see anybody.
Anyone
except
want
for
to talk
department heads.
about your budget or anything?
Combine them so we can get along.
No, I would say no.
We can't combine these ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what we'll do is then we'll open it up for
13 through
counselors
16.
to have a discussion about ordinance 20-13.
I don't want to take another big loan on Pittsfield future funds. If that's what this is.
So what would happen on this is that you're approving the $89,980. The council had gone through and were fine with the reserves, special revenues, and grants and other resources. However, did not approve a loan or lease purchase. This simply means it's on the capital improvement plan. But in order to proceed forward with any project, whether it be paving, highway work, a fire truck, a public works truck, or anything, it requires additional meetings and approvals, including loan documents and everything. So this simply means it's listed on the capital improvement plan, it doesn't approve it. So what you're approving is the use of $89,980 of tax dollars for the items that are listed, and you're leaving all these items that are remaining, which are loan, lease purchase, reserve, special revenues, grants, and other revenue resources on the big capital improvement plan, which is that 11 by 17 Excel spreadsheet. It just gives you the authority to do it if you wish to pursue it. Sometimes you've left the items on there and not pursued the items.
Does that make sense, Matt?
Yep.
Deborah?
Can I do something? I would like to make a new motion. I'd like to move that we work on ordinances 20-13 through 20-16, since they all belong together.
I don't think we can do that because, I don't think we can do that.
can.
Because they're public hearings, right?
They're public hearings,
hearings.
so they're
But they
separate
can still
items.
do it, but
No, it's not like the ones where we're doing, at the end, where we're doing the cash donations and stuff.
well, Catherine told me that it was done.
Well, no, we talked about, you can do those donation ones because they're just regular donations and accepting the money you've received. But since these other ones are budget ordinances, they really can't be combined, even though we sort of talk about them all of them at once.
Okay.
They
I
all
think
have-
it'll be relatively quick to go through them.
Yeah, they all have something to do with the budget, so in that respect, they all have that in common, but they need to be taken piece by piece because they were set to public hearings separately.
Okay.
Did you have particular questions about the capital budget
No,
part that we're on now?
no.
Okay.
So have we closed the public hearing?
No, it's the counselor portion of the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Usually the public hearings are open to the public first, and then the counselors discuss, and then sometimes there's some back and forth between the counselors and answering questions to the general public. So if counselors don't have any more questions or discussion about ordinance 20-13, then we can move to approve it. And that's where the motion would be.
So we move to close the public hearing then, and then we move to adopt, is that?
So the mayor can declare the public hearing closed.
Okay.
Okay, so that's good. Okay,
And then we can move to make the adoption.
Correct.
Okay, so I move we adopt ordinance 20-13.
Second.
Counselors, any other discussion? All right, we'll vote on ordinance 20-13. All those in favor of adopting an ordinance 20-13, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing it, that will pass. And we'll move on to ordinance 20-14, which is also a public hearing.
Ordinance 20-14, a public hearing. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the 2021 operating budget in the amount of $4,204,421 be approved, and the total sum of $5,862,901 be appropriated, which is the operating plus capital budgets, and further that $2,229,077 be raised through taxation, that $1,520,324 be raised from estimated revenues, that $395,000 be appropriated from state revenue sharing, that $815,000 be appropriated from lease purchase, that $500,000 be appropriated from loan bonds, that $15,000 be taken from reserve funds, that $8,500 be appropriated from special revenues, that $65,000 be appropriated from grants, that $165,000 be appropriated from other revenue resources, and that an additional sum of $150,000 be taken from undesignated fund balance.
Okay, this is a public hearing.
And let's see, Holly is here now. Boy, she's got good timing.
Hi, Holly.
Holly, can you hear us? Nope, she's got to unmute herself.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right, so Catherine, we need a motion with other numbers here, correct? Before we open
Yeah,
the public hearing?
you can have your public hearing first, and then we can discuss the additional, the revisions,
Okay,
which lowers the amount of tax dollars.
all right, so we'll
So we're
go
not
ahead
putting
and,
anything in there
Not
right
yet.
now, in those parentheses.
well, I think we should, put the numbers, she gave us a document with guidance based on the changes that we've made so far in the budget process.
You can do it either way.
Just so that we're talking about the revised numbers versus the initial numbers.
All right, very good. I can review those. Out for the public on the town's website, and I made an announcement on the Facebook page and the town's website that additional figures and paperwork was available over the weekend, which people could look at besides all the other documents. We had a proposed budget that started out as a 7.1% increase from utilizing the new budget process. There were deletions that were already included in the budget public hearing that was set to public hearing back in November for this meeting this evening. We had reduced the budget at that time by $23,971, so that had already taken place and is included on the agenda. There were additional amendments to the budget ordinance that deal with the 53rd payroll, which takes place every 7th year. The auditor will not allow the town, or indicates it will not approve the town dividing that up between 2 years, so it must be placed in the 2021 budget. The health insurance cost has come in the same as the current year, which is great because we told the budget for a 7% increase, so that was a huge savings. The USDA has agreed to modify our lease agreement so that we can utilize monies that would go into a sludge sewer reserve and set there and generate interest, but now we can use that for capital payments and to get a new project to fix sewers, so that's really good. That had no change, only a title change. The highway budget was decreased by $10,000. The police department budget was decreased by $38,095, which was a number of items. We had carry forward funds from 2019 toward a patrol ACO detective position. So $30,000 has been saved in a fund and can be utilized in the 2021 budget, so you're able to reduce the budget by that amount and save those funds because we have them. They're not expended. The captain position of $5,000 was deleted. Mandatory training and conferences was deleted by $295, so that stayed the same amount because there had been an increase in there for 2021, so it's the same amount as 2020. Membership and dues decreased by $500 because there's only so much that we've been able to do, both with mandatory training and conferences and memberships and dues because of COVID-19 and going out to different places. The building plant was reduced by $2,300 by using unexpended funds from the current 2020 budget, which actually is further down on the agenda to be carried forward. And by carrying forward money from the current budget, 2020, that's not being used, that saves taxpayer dollars in 2021. So there would be additional savings of $61,467. And then the councilors have before them the changes to the amount of the operating budget, the operating plus capital budget, and the taxation figure, all being reduced by $61,467. Thank you.
Thank you.
What does that make the total percent? Did you have a total percentage?
Yes, it will bring the total percentage to exactly 5%.
Okay.
So we're down from 7.1 to 5%. Getting closer to Pete's goal there.
Okay. So we'll open our public hearing and ask for any input from the audience. Does anybody here in person have anything that they want to say about the budget before councilors discuss?
I don't see anything on Zoom.
Okay. We've already talked about individual budget,
Yes,
department budgets.
in detail.
Okay, counselors, any discussion?
Still don't want to do a loan.
And you don't have to. It's just simply on the budget ordinance. But to do a loan, there has to be the council approving going forward to set a public hearing. They have to request that we get the request for proposals out to the bank. They have to then approve the loan, and all those steps have to take place. And if you're not going to do a loan, then you wouldn't do them. It's simply on the, it's on the CIP basically.
Just want to make that clear.
Yes.
But it's there, but we don't actually have to do it.
No, and in fact, for, let's say, you had 500,000 listed for the paving, you could do 200,000. You could do a lower loan if you wanted to. And as we discussed at the last meeting of the Finance Committee and the Town Council at a workshop, you actually have funds left over from the 2 loans that you took out, the 2019 and the 2020, because we bid out several projects several times because the prices were too high. And I know it took a long time, but we saved a lot of money. You saved a huge amount of money on the roofs for this building, on the repairs to the fire station and the municipal building. The paving price came in very good for once. All these items saved money, and then some of the other projects came in under budget. So as we had discussed, you have approximately $200,000 available to you, minus any other bills that come in, and I don't know of any other bills, and Steve Vance, the Public Works foreman, didn't know of any other bills. So this is good news. You could use those funds to pave some roads in town, don't take a loan, use up those funds because we borrowed it, so we might as well use it, and pave some of the roads that don't need to be rehabilitated, but need to be saved before they need to be rehabilitated. So this is indeed very, very good news.
The other numbers, Catherine, that have parentheses
The
next
other-
to them.
Yes, so the ones in parentheses would be the ones that are from all of the savings that you've come up with at your meetings.
And the
So
empty,
the other ones don't have additional changes?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
They don't
clarify, because
change.
those ones were blank still.
Yes, they will stay the
Right.
same.
Okay, perfect.
so they stay where they are. That was
So-
my question too.
Yeah, so when the motion is made by a counselor to adopt ordinance
We have to make those
20-14,
modifications.
you would read
Those
those
numbers.
bold numbers
Yeah.
and then just say, and the remaining part remains unchanged. Any other questions, counselors?
I am curious about whether or not that 45,000 idea is going to happen, because I assume that would be under this section, is that correct?
The whole what?
Can you just say what that is again?
The $45,000, so coming up, we're going to have to pay, what was the amount? $90,000.
We would if we took the loan, but we don't want,
But we don't want to
We
take the
don't wanna
loan,
take
so
the
we don't
loan.
have to worry about that.
yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Yes, it is perfect.
Never mind then.
Well, it's good to bring it up,
Yes.
because we've concluded it.
Any questions, Pete? No? Deborah?
No?
Matt? Okay, we'll look for a motion to adopt ordinance 20-14.
I move that we make an amendment to ordinance 20-14 to include the numbers of $4,142,954 in the operating budget for a total sum of $5,801,434, and further that $2,167,610 be raised through taxation, and the rest remain the same as previously read.
Second.
Okay. So we have an amended motion. Any discussion on that amended motion? Okay, not hearing any, we will vote to accept the amended ordinance. All those in favor of accepting the amended ordinance as read for ordinance 20-14, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will pass. So we have an amended ordinance to pass as well.
And move to adopt ordinance 20-14 as amended.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, counselors? All those in favor of adopting ordinance 20-14 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. We move on to ordinance 20-15.
Ordinance 20-15, also a public hearing. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the 2021 Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund budgets in the respective amounts of, excuse me, of $613,824 and $501,350 be appropriated from the respective estimated departmental revenues.
And these numbers remain unchanged, correct?
Correct. They're the same as last year.
So this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience or on Zoom via technology here that would like to comment on the water and sewer enterprise budget? Not hearing any. Counselors, any discussion on ordinance 20-15? Okay. We'll look for a motion.
Move we adopt ordinance 20-15, as written.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of ordinance 20-15 as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Ordinance 20-16.
Ordinance 20-16, also a public hearing. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the 2021 Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund capital budget in the amount of $470,000 be approved. And further, that $70,000 be appropriated for water/sewer enterprise additional revenues, and that $400,000 be appropriated from the washer reserve.
Okay, this is also a public hearing, so we will look to see if there's anyone in the audience or in the Zoom world here that would like to comment on this item. Okay. Not seeing or hearing anything. Counselors, do you have any items you'd like to discuss regarding ordinance 20-16? Not hearing any, I'll look for a motion.
Move we adopt ordinance 20-16 as written.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of adopting ordinance 20-16 as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Ordinance 20-17.
Ordinance 20-17, also a public hearing this evening. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains to authorize the transfer of unencumbered appropriation balances to various departments from 0510 Police for Animal Control, $9,000, 25-15 Theater, $9,000, to 0520 Streetlights, $2,000, 0525 Animal Control, $9,000, 10-05 Public Works, $5,000, 10-15 Cemetery, $2,000.
Okay, this is a public hearing. There's an error on our agenda, so we're not setting this to public hearing. This is the public hearing for this item. Anybody in the audience like to comment on public hearing for ordinance 20-17? Okay, I don't see anybody in the audience or on Zoom. Counselors, any discussion regarding ordinance 20-17? Not seeing any, we'll look for a motion.
Move we adopt ordinance 20-17 as written.
Second.
All those in favor of adopting ordinance 20-17 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Order 20-10.
Order 20-10, ordered by the town council to authorize equipment lease, purchase, financing, and appropriation of the proceeds thereof.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt order 20-10.
Second.
Okay, we'll open discussion on order 20-10. And we have background in our packet.
So there are two items with the purchase, lease purchase of a new copier. And if approved, the new copier will arrive on Thursday. On Saturday it died, and has come back to life, but it's having some trouble here. It knew time was up here. So basically this turned out to be a good deal. In the beginning the prices were a lot higher, and we just kept to our guns here. So it will be $295 a month, or $3,540 per year for 5 years, to not exceed $17,700. And if you look at the agenda sheet, you'll see that's just a few dollars per month more. This will be a color printer. We will need to pay for the additional color copies, which are at a very low price compared to the color copier, the small color copier we're using now. And there is a mechanism in which we can lock up who uses them and when it's done. And if everybody uses color copies, then we can charge it to the different departments. I think we would just lock it up and just use it when we need it. You don't need color copies all the time. You only need it for brochures and certain pictures and everything. So basically, the color printer will end up costing a few dollars a month more than the black and white one. And we will not have to buy the cartridges at $85 each for 5 for the Brothers printer as much during the year, so we'll probably save money.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the numbers, Catherine?
Yes, so the service contract will be $295 a month. It's a 5-year period. It will turn out being an increase of $2.50 per month or $150 for the term. The total amount for the 5 years is $17,700.
Is that in this paperwork that you?
Yes, yes, it's in your paperwork.
Am I not looking at the right spot? Mine says
I know, I couldn't find it
it's
either, that's why I
$750 a
needed
month.
it.
Is that a typo? Should it be $250? The last line of the background in the packet. It's kind of a
Yeah,
normal
it's
thing.
$2.50 per month increase.
Okay, so it's $250.
It
so
is
that's an error.
$2.50.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same price.
That's a pretty good deal to get a
Yeah.
color one here too.
I know, we've done really well. We just hold out and then they lower the price.
Well, don't give away our secrets. Counselors, any discussions on order 20-10? Anyone in the audience or on Zoom have any discussion about the color copier? Okay. Well, thank goodness it died on Saturday and not like early October.
This is true.
Or November before
Oh,
the
it's
election.
tried, yeah.
So.
It did make it was a good copier.
Okay, counselors, order 20-10, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, we will pass that. And then we're on to resolution 20-140.
Resolution 20-140, resolve that the town council authorize the town manager to execute all necessary paperwork for the lease purchase of a Xerox Acrolink C8 170 color MFP copier at a cost to not exceed lease and service contract totaling $295 a month for a 5-year period, an increase of $2.50 per month or $150 for the term.
Okay, so, we'll look for a motion.
Move we adopt resolution 20-140.
Second.
Thank you. So order 20-10, we decided to do it, and resolution 20-140, we're gonna give you the authorization to follow through with it. Do we have any more discussion about this, counselors? We just give authorization to enter the contract.
Right. No?
All those in favor of resolution 20-140, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. We're on the 20-141.
Resolution 20-141, resolve that the town council accept the proposal of blank in an amount to not exceed blank for a new 25-ton capacity trailer, auction blank, and authorize the town manager to execute all paperwork for same.
I would like to look for a motion to open discussion, and then we'll have an amendment motion after having some discussion with Steve about trailers.
I move we open discussion on resolution 20-141.
Second.
Thank you. Steve, would you like to talk to us about trailers?
What do you want to know?
Well, we have 3 bids here.
We do.
Looks like you can get a tilt deck trailer, pretty reasonable.
There's not, those aren't tilt decks.
Oh, it isn't?
No, those are, well, deck over with a dovetail.
Okay.
Two of the bidders came in with, spring assisted lift ramps, but those are pretty big ramps, and I'm not going there, that's not what I spec'd out. It was either airlift or hydraulic lift, those were the choices. And only one of them bid it the way it is, but none of them have it in stock. I mean, he doesn't have it in stock, so it'll be a 12-week order, 12-week lead time.
And the two that don't meet it are Main Trailer and MB Tractor, is that correct?
Correct.
It was
Those are
Chadwick
spring-
that
those are
actually met
spring-
what
they
you were
have
looking for.
Spring assist, it's the exact same trailer, all of them, except for the ramps.
Mhm.
And then you have spring assist. And spring assist will work in the summertime, okay, but you still have to do a big heft. And I don't want anybody in the way of those ramps, I don't want anybody getting hurt with
The
those ramps.
liability.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the ramps are 8 feet long, they're that wide.
Is it worth waiting for them to get one in stock? The one that did meet the bid spec?
At this point in time, I mean, we can, I mean, if I have to move it, which we don't have to move it a lot at this time of year.
Right.
So if I have to move it, I gotta pay $200 to $300, depending on what it is, per move.
So the price was kind of high.
Can we reject these bids?
Actually,
I wanna-
you're gonna be in that $30,000 range, give or take a few $1,000s
Right.
anyway, for that type of trailer. That's just where it's gonna be. I got a feeling the bids are gonna come in that way. You could rebid it.
Doesn't matter how it'll come in.
Right. I mean, we set it out to bids once, but we do have one that meets the bid, but he was spec, but he was high bid. That was $33,000.
What was our budget item, what was our budget amount on this that we originally,
It was, I believe, 20,000.
No,
How
no,
much?
I think it was more than
I think we were around 25, but it's still well over.
that.
Right, we're under overall, but any money we can save could be used for paving. So let me double check that right now.
So, no, okay, so let me understand. Chadwick Bay Ross
So it's up to you.
met
what you
all
want
of
to
the
do.
requirements, but the price was too high. And the
Well, I
other
mean-
two did not meet the specifications.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that is the 2019 budget. I don't have it with me. I thought it was 20,000.
I
so
think it was more than 20,000.
It's not 33,000.
No,
can we
not
reject
30.
these bids and then go to Chadwick Bay Ross and talk to them
How can I figure that out?
without rebidding it?
I don't know that. I don't know that you could,
Catherine?
without selecting bid, I don't know that you could go have a negotiation after the
Well, they
fact.
might be willing to give us a better price than the 33,000.
There's no used trailers or anything that we can use?
I
Is
mean,
it
you-
available?
I would have to, you'd have to do the search.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you can just say you're gonna reject all bids.
I think we should reject all
And I
bids.
think you can do that, and the worst case is you put it out to bid again. I mean, if you're out 12 weeks anyway, what's it matter?
Right, because they're not
Let's
gonna
see
be
if-
able to get
let's-
it.
So
for
let's see
everyone.
what we can come up with, and better our position.
Is
and
there
go
any,
from there.
so I know we've gone closer to the state, how about looking out of state?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I could even open a negotiation with a company, yeah.
I just did a little bit of looking myself,
Yeah.
and I found ones out of state that were significantly cheaper than those. And I don't know what your total specs were, but they met the tonnage that you were looking
Right.
to get.
And then they gotta have the lifted ramps, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I don't know your complete specs, but I do know for the tonnage that you were looking to get, they were significantly lower.
good, yeah.
so we can reject these bids
got
and then
to-
Peter can give Steve the information that he found for Steve to put it out again in 2 months.
Well, no, I mean, he's right. You can go shopping, but what we do is we put it out to bid and we mail it out to a bunch of companies, and they come back with what they give us. Now, all I'm saying is at this point in time, we just reject that.
I'm thinking we're not out anything because the 12-week delivery is.
Correct.
Correct.
And
Unless we
if
miss
we
the
do
point.
that rebid policy procedure too, if we're allowing it to go out for rebid during that time, we could still go back to Chadwick, correct? And ask them if they'd be willing to bid again, but
We could ask them to rebid again and tell them we really would like them to have a good price. We can't actually negotiate with them, but
no,
you certainly could.
encourage.
Yes, encourage
Okay.
heavily to bid a good price.
Right.
I'm just thinking, if they're the only one that met spec, but they are over what we can spend, and they are a main company, which of course I'd like to support over going out of state, but if we have to go out of state to get in our budget, then we have to go out of state to get in our
I
budget.
mean, sometimes on equipment like this, other departments have gone out of state, don't really like
Oh, we-
that, but if you can't get what you need
Well, I
here.
think we mailed some out of state, we just didn't get a reply.
I think our duty to the taxpayers to stay within our budget overrides the by Maine. You know, if we can't do what we need to do within Maine, then we need to go look elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah, and you guys can you guys, if you reject the budget, Catherine, if they reject this bid thing, you guys have already set a money amount, correct?
This
And by
was-
Yes, and
resolution, you
This was
could,
set aside last year.
correct,
in
but you
2019.
know kind of what the amount is, you could by
Yeah.
resolution give him power to be looking for something that's in or around that range or under, and if you find something that's, say, in New Hampshire, that's $23,500 and it meets his
Go
bill.
ahead and do it.
Well, don't we have to put it out to bid twice before we're allowed to do that, Catherine?
For tax acquired property, we do, but for regular items, if we keep trying, we can do other arrangements.
Okay.
Yeah, if you keep not getting bids, or you get bids that are high and it keeps happening, you can authorize, if you so desire, the supervisors to negotiate within a framework.
Okay.
I think it's worthwhile sending the bids out to casting a wider net. We have the bids all ready to go. It would just be a matter of sending emails to them or posting them the information. I think that would be the least time consuming thing for Steve to do right now, as far as going around and negotiating and thumbing through all the ads and things. I know you guys like to do that.
I don't like to do that.
But I think just in the interest of, you know, there's storms coming, there's weather setting in and everything else, just to make it easier on Steve to just give them the authorization to rebid it and cast a wider net to get more bids. And then we'll take a look at it again.
So we need another,
So Catherine, then if we reject the bills, the bids under this, can we, in that motion, also
Yes.
grant
Okay.
permission for a second?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's for the same thing, so that's acceptable. And Steve had recommended that we only do one of the bids and not both of them, correct?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go bother with, I mean, initially, we're gonna do the tilt deck because, one of the most unsafe operations you got is loading and unloading equipment on a trailer. So I was trying to find the safest operation, which was the tilt deck. When I look at the prices, it gets a little bit pricey. So going with I believe somebody in here wanted another option, and that's when we come up with the lower deck over with the dovetail, and that's all I'm gonna bid out this time. I'm not gonna bid both options.
so how do we write this, Catherine? We wanna reject all the bids.
All right, so yes, we're going to amend this motion to reject all the bids and to rebid the 25-ton capacity trailer with the one option, or one type.
So we're gonna authorize, don't we have to have this?
I move we reject all of the bids submitted under resolution 20-141 and give Steve the ability to rebid for a new 25-ton capacity trailer with just the deck over option.
Second.
I think that covered it all.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Bernard is here. Yes.
Is the reason that you want bid because of the way the spec is written for a particular brand?
No, it's not written for a brand, it's actually written across several brands to try to meld out a spec that several different companies could bid it for. So I looked at several trailers and then just broadened the spec out in certain areas that covered the range of those trailers. We just didn't get the response. So,
Could you hear that, Bernard?
I heard from that, basically he picked parts that he liked off 3 or 4 different kinds. Only one guy's going to build that.
The specs are written in such a way that most manufacturers should meet it unless they're trying to go on the real chintzy side, I guess, underweight on the steel and stuff like that, so.
So you're comfortable rebidding it then?
Yeah.
All right, we have an amendment on the floor to reject all the bids and rebid the option of the 29 to 30 foot deck over trailer. Correct, Amanda?
25-ton capacity trailer, yeah, with the deck over
We
option.
authorize the, doesn't it have to be written a little more legal?
Well, that's the amendment. To reject all the bids and rebid it as a 29 to 30 foot deck over 25 ton capacity. That's the amendment, resolution 20-141.
Second.
You did second it. So all those in favor of the amendment, of amending the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the amendment passes. Any further discussion before we vote on the amended resolution?
Does this have to be a new trailer? Because I feel like,
No, it don't.
yeah, I feel like a used trailer would be, if you could find like a good used trailer, you're not taking you're not taking this piece of equipment to like Portland or whatever. We're just bringing it around town mostly out of.
Well, I would hope that we don't, well, I mean, the furthest I think we, you know, depending on if you were gonna haul the machine down to save cost for service or
Right.
you might go as far as Portland, but you wouldn't go any further than that. You're not gonna leave the state.
Yeah, it's not gonna be every day.
So
or
it just
every
needs to be a good trailer, you know, something
Right.
that hasn't been abused, taken care of, that meets the specs. The 25 ton, you're getting down towards, that would be the smallest I think you'd wanna have in length and weight for what we're gonna do.
I was
So
just
that's your
thinking,
minimum.
if there's a way of getting a used tilt deck trailer or something comes up for a deal, like the backhoe did, for example, like, you know.
Well,
that
then
may
you
be
just,
really
you're right, you try to lock that up, bring it in front of the council and see if you can get it approved, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't wanna hold you up and lose out on the deal, cause everything's, you know, spring will be here before we know it, and people will be buying equipment.
I
Well,
think the
that's good.
council was pretty responsive when you found the backhoe. I mean, we approved that pretty quickly.
Yeah, and
Right.
this is one we have the funds for, so we don't have to go through the lease purchase,
Right.
with a company from New York City.
Right.
So that actually took a little longer, I think.
And that was interesting.
Yeah, so we shouldn't have to do that part of it. So, I mean, I think we should be able to react pretty quickly.
Yeah, I didn't want his hands to be tied to like,
Yeah.
oh, you can only get like a new, brand new, we can.
Does it say in the amendment that it has to be new?
Yeah, well, we.
Was it bid as new? Did it have to be
The
new?
original bids were done as new.
Well, the bids were gone out as new, yes.
So could we amend that bid to include new or used, Steve? When you
Yeah, I
rebid it?
can amend the bid to say whatever you want to say.
Do we need to approve that, Catherine, if we're changing the bid?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Is that what you meant, when you made your motion?
We meant new or used,
Okay.
yes, when we made our motion.
Then that's what I have.
Clarification on
Clarify that.
The discussion can clarify things.
Yes.
So-
Thank you for helping me clarify my amendment, Pat, I
Or
appreciate
new
that.
or used. 25 ton capacity Any other discussion, counselors? You're comfortable with that, Steve?
Yep.
All those in favor of resolution 20-141 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass as amended. Resolution 20-142.
Resolution 20-142, resolved that the town council declare the council seat for District 2 vacant and call a special election for Councilor District 2 on Thursday, February 25th, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-142.
Second?
Discussions, counselors?
Please, everybody tell your friends.
Yeah,
We want that
everybody in
seat
District
filled.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a special ad to draw people in the following Sunday.
And we did have one person that got votes that might be interested.
They did, they have not committed yet, but other people have come forward, so we'll see. We've told people we have to have a counselor
Yes,
for
we
District
do.
2.
All right, any other discussion about that resolution, counselors? 20-142? Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor of adopting resolution 20-142, opening up the council seat for District 2, special election, Thursday, February 25th, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. 20-143 passes.
Resolution 20-143, resolved that the town council approve that nomination papers for Councilor District 2 be made available on Wednesday, January 6, 2021, and that the filing deadline for said nomination papers will be Wednesday, January 20th, 2021 at 5 p.m.
Look for a motion, counselors.
Move we adopt resolution 20-143.
Second?
This is follow through from the previous one. If we're going to say we're going to have election, we should have nomination papers available.
Probably a good idea.
But again,
And
tell
to
your
have-
friends.
And to have the election take place as soon as possible, there are two sections of the law that we can use that reduces the period of time for the nomination papers. It will be heavily advertised.
Any other discussion on this item, counselors?
Oh,
Anyone in the
I pray
audience?
we get somebody.
Anyone in the audience have any discussion they would like to contribute?
Catherine, I have one question. I know I'm not audience, but, how many signatures do they need?
25,
And it has to be from District 2.
correct.
What are we doing to help them gain their signatures during a time when people are locked in their houses?
I think they're going to need to be creative.
That
Has
I
to be
know,
paid
but
for.
what I don't want is for us to not be able to have somebody put in for this special election
So-
because they can't obtain their signatures due to COVID.
So Jason Hall went easily through District 2, as well as other areas, but most of his signatures came from District 2, and
Okay.
he was for at-large. So I suspect people can help the candidate by calling around and telling people to sign the papers. And if people use gloves, they should be fine. I don't think they actually have to, but if somebody felt uncomfortable, they could use gloves to sign the document.
Okay. I would hate it to be that they only get 20 signatures and then we can't put them on the ballot.
That was one of the items of the many, many changes that the governor made. There is no change to nomination papers, and that's something that on the town manager's listserv gets asked quite a bit, because everybody's elections are coming up now.
Mhm.
So if there is anybody out there in District 2 looking to get signatures, pull your papers starting January 6th and get more than 25 signatures, because
Yes.
chances are you might have somebody sign that's not actually registered.
Yeah.
They might be living in District 2, but they might not be registered. Or they might not have changed their registration or something, so it's a good idea to get a couple extra.
Definitely.
Okay, counselors, all those in favor of resolution 20-143, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing that will pass. Resolution 20-144.
Resolution 20-144, resolved that the town council approves a request for proposals for a backup generator addition for the Pittsfield Water Department, also known as Pittsfield Water Works, and authorize the town manager, water/sewer plant manager, and Oliver Associates, operator of the Pittsfield Water Works, to seek proposals for same.
Move we adopt resolution 20-144.
Second?
Thank you, counselors. Discussion on this item. Catherine, do you want to
Yes,
start?
this is something that would be prudent to do. We have now had 2 storms in which the power has been off for a significant time on Falcoma Avenue, something that has rarely ever happened. Generally, the power does not go out in town, but it's been going out quite a bit, even downtown area. So it would be a good idea, in looking ahead at the pumping station, to have a generator that is actually there and not one that we have to go and search for. It used to be that you could find generators relatively easy, but now they're all, you can't find them very easily at all. We did get one that was available to us for the last storm. However, it may not always be available. And so this is the town's water supply. Now with more usage that has come on, it is imperative that we make sure that we can supply water. Normally we could go for a couple of days, but you know, as the water usage continues to increase with more plants and more activities, it will be less than 2 days. And with the power not seeming to, just more issues with the Central Main power line and the Bangor line, this is just a prudent thing to do.
Is there money in the reserve account for this, Catherine?
There is a water restoration account that is contained in the fund balance. For some reason, when we set up the water and the sewer restoration accounts, they were set up as reserves, but the auditor has always left them in the fund balance. So there is some funding there. We may also qualify for a grant. The timing didn't seem to overlap with the FEMA grant, but we'll continue to look at it. So I think we'd be able to fund it.
I was gonna say, with the money from the USDA,
Yeah, I wish it was the sewer.
Yeah, it's
The
not
sewer
sewer,
has
so we
funding
can't
already.
use it.
only for sewer.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
And
sewer does well, the water breaks even, basically.
The other question I had, Catherine, was reading through the invite list. I'm curious, are these the only people they're
No.
inviting?
No, this is, I had noted in the agenda sheet that this setup is a little bit different than what we do. I talked to Annalise at Oliver Associates to remind them that we do the legal ad to everyone, and they said that was fine. This was simply so that these are the contractors that they work with and they're used to them bidding, so they just automatically have written this like a letter and a contract, which is fine.
it's quite a
And then we would
package.
advertise it.
I was just curious because I'm thinking, well, we kind of missed some of our big players in the area.
Yes, I know.
Pete, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, in our papers to sign, resolution 2144 is wrong.
2044.
2144 or 2044?
No, 20-144.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
What's wrong?
It was duplicated, 143 was
yeah,
duplicated on the
143 was
144.
Oh,
duplicated
okay.
in 144.
Yeah.
So we
can-
need a 144 then.
We
Yeah.
can fix that then, okay. With our photocopier, we're lucky we got anything done.
Good catch. Good email.
Thanks for catching that.
Way to
I
go,
guess I
Pete.
don't understand.
Yes, but I find
In our
when I put them in the
paperwork
book, I
design,
would have found that.
There was 2 sheets that were the same, but they had different numbers at the top.
Right.
So we just need an actual 144 printed to sign.
Oh,
Yeah, and I
okay.
will redo that one, yes.
Any other discussion, counselors?
I am impressed by the packet. I mean,
Well, that's
seems
what
that
happens when
nothing
you have a
is-
professional engineering service doing your bid for you.
Yeah, really.
They'll probably reach a larger audience than we would because of all their contacts.
Right.
hopefully we'll get some good pricing on it.
Yes, this is an expensive generator because of the concrete pad and everything.
Have there been any estimates for the price?
Yes, no, we don't want to say what it is.
Do we,
I'll tell you after the meeting.
so mentioning the concrete pad, we wouldn't want to get a portable?
They said that because it's a water source, we have to have a propane and a concrete pad to meet all the requirements.
Gotcha.
For code.
It's a unique situation out there in the middle of
Well,
nowhere.
Isn't everything in this town a unique situation?
We are very unique.
We are
Okay,
unique.
so,
I don't think it'd be a generator we'd want to be toting around anyway.
No,
Yeah,
it's
until
gonna,
If you have an emergency,
is it
there's
gonna
water.
stay there? It's gonna stay there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
Well,
it's wired in.
The difference is with propane, you can get a huge amount of storage there and it can go for multiple weeks versus if you got gas and diesel, you're out of power for a week, you're not gonna be able to fuel it up anyway.
Can't
Yeah.
get
You
gas.
can't, you can't pump fuel, you can't
Yeah,
keep the
no,
generator going.
that makes
can I-
sense.
Can I comment on that? This is gonna be a propane generator?
Apparently,
It's gonna be propane, yeah.
Okay, so, propane generator, just, how long do you plan on running it?
how long's the power gonna be up? You know, it's,
Well, that's what I'm saying, you have to look at that.
They have to do
2
monthly
weeks,
tests on them.
2 weeks, a month?
Well, I would assume that the power would come back on within a week.
Well, depending on the event,
Yeah.
yes, depending on the event.
It always has, but lately there's been more power
So,
outages, so
in
we
reality,
need
you
to do
say 2
something.
weeks, so
That's what I would say.
you gotta make sure that these gonna be above ground tanks? Or in ground?
Yes,
It would be, it gotta be
put it on the
1,000,
ground.
it has to, I think it has to be a minimum of 1,000 gallon above ground tank, yes.
Well, now you have to look at when the power is gonna go out and what the temperature is gonna be. Because propane loses its vaporization rate as the temperature drops. So then you need more capacity to vaporize, or you have to mechanically vaporize to meet the load. And this is not gonna be a small generator, so it's gonna have quite a large load. So I guess my biggest concern is, with above ground tanks, you gotta make sure you have enough capacity. Let's say it's 0 degrees out for 2 weeks during this power outage, that you can supply the load. Then the other concern I would have would be, is it in a flood zone? And if it is in a flood zone, then you have to ballast the tanks. In other words, they have to be on a pad that's heavy enough that if that tank's empty, or even half empty, that it can't float away.
The specs do call for a fairly large pad.
They do.
Yeah, that would be good, because that's what you gotta do, you gotta counteract the buoyancy of that tank, should water get up.
I'll mention this to all of our associates, they do have a person on staff that does just the bid specifications for the generators and different projects like that, so they gave those bid specifications to Annalise.
Yeah, that's just my,
okay.
my
All good
concern.
things to consider, and we'll make note of that. More discussion, counselors? Okay. All those in favor of resolution 20-144, request for proposals, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Resolution 20-145,
Resolution 20-145, resolved that the town council authorize a total of blank for carry forwards from the 2020 budget and encumber the funds for 2021.
I'll look for a motion, counselors.
Move we adopt resolution 20-145. And
Second.
the total amount, shoot, I've lost my total amount, Catherine.
10,300.
Thank you, 10,300.
Second.
Thank you. So these are funds that we did not expend in 2020, that we're going to carry forward to 2021.
That is correct. The fire
they'll be
department,
for-
because they had not needed to expend money for PPE, personal protective gear, which is very expensive, The fire chief asked to carry that forward, and the monies had not been expended for the project that was budgeted, so we can do that. That amount is $7,000. And then during the discussions of the police department in a way to reduce the percentage increase, one of the projects is the building plant. Funding did not get spent. So 2,300 can be carried forward from 2020 to 2021 for the amount that was cut.
And those stay in those same equipment or?
They'll
lines?
be in a fund, however, they're allocated and can only be spent for those items.
Okay. Any other questions, counselors? Anyone in the audience have questions? Okay, not hearing any. Let's vote on resolution 20-145 with the amount of $10,300. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that will pass. Resolution 20-146.
Resolution 20-146, resolved that the town council approve the percentage of funds in the cemetery general fund at 5.4% of the November 30th, 2020 balance to be transferred to the 2021 budget as a revenue source for the cemetery, thereby increasing the amount of revenues to be utilized in an amount equal to the proposed 2021 cemetery budget.
Move we adopt resolution 20-146.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, counselors.
So basically, this just evens out the amount of the cemetery expenditure budget that has been approved. Will also have the revenues approved so that it zeroes out, because we have a huge amount of interest in the cemetery account. And can utilize the money to reduce taxes.
Awesome.
Any other discussion, counselors? Anyone in the audience? Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 20-146 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass.
Our audience
Before
is
we
very
can
quiet.
continue, I'd like to make a motion to waive the rules so that we can read resolutions 20-147 to 20-154 by title only and combine them in one motion.
20-147
Second.
to 20-154.
154.
And a second.
Title only. Motion by Amanda, seconded by Deb. Counselors, the motion's on the table. Any discussion of that motion before we vote on it? Everybody in favor of shortening our meeting? Alright, all those in favor of the motion to waive the rules, reading items, resolutions 20-147 through 20-154 in title only and dealing them with them as one item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will pass. We're going to waive the rules and read those in title only.
All right, resolution 20-147, library donations. Resolution 20-148, community swimming pool donations. Resolution 20-149, underage drinking program. Resolution 20-150, theater fundraising campaign renovations revenue, and that was earlier in the year. Resolution 20-151, Pittsfield Keep Neighbors Warm program. Resolution 20-152, reuse building. Resolution 20-153, historical depot. Resolution 20-154, bicentennial.
Move we adopt resolutions 147 to 154.
Second.
Kind of a housekeeping item that we do every year. Is there any discussion over these items? Anyone in the audience have any discussion about these items? Okay. Not hearing any. All those in favor of adopting ordinance 20-147 through 20-154, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, those will pass. That brings us down to 20-155.
Resolution 20-155, resolved that the town council appoint Stephen Seekins as code enforcement officer for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-155.
Second.
Any discussion, counselors or audience?
The requirement of the state law, they be 1 year term.
Not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 20-155, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Resolution 20-156.
Resolution 20-156, resolved that the town council appoint Stephen Seekins as licensed plumbing inspector for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-156.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item, counselors or audience? Not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 20-156, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that passes. 20-157.
Resolution 20-157, resolved that the town council appoint Brian Croft as code enforcement officer alternate for the following areas: zoning and land use ordinances, third party license inspector for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-157.
Second.
Any discussion, counselors or audience? Not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 20-157, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. 20-158.
Resolution 20-158, resolved that the town council appoint Brian Croft as licensed plumbing inspector alternate for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-158.
Second.
Any discussion, counselors or audience? This is so much fun. Not hearing any? All those in favor of resolution 20-158, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that passes. Resolution 20-159.
Resolution 20-159, resolved that the town council appoint Albert Tempest as code enforcement officer alternate for the following areas: zoning and land use ordinances, shoreline zoning ordinances for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-159.
Second.
Any discussion, counselors or audience? Not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 20-159, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that passes. 20-160.
Resolution 20-160, resolved that the town council appoint Albert Tempest as licensed plumbing inspector alternate for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Move we adopt resolution 20-160.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, audience or counselors? Not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 20-160, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Resolution 20-161.
Resolution 20-161, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to apply for Federal Emergency Management Agency FEMA funding from the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, fiscal year 2020 building resilient infrastructure and communities grant.
Move we adopt resolution 20-161.
Second?
Thank you. Discussion on this item?
So we did look around for funding for generators. The time period does not work out, but that doesn't mean that we might not apply based upon what pricing comes back for that generator. And we do want to update the generator here in this building. It does work, however, it is ancient and should be updated so we can do the whole building. So there is funding still available. The grant application would give us a lot of points in certain areas, but not many points in other areas. So we've got to call into the state to see if this is something they'd be interested in. You never know.
And we can't, this grant program wouldn't apply to our water generator.
It could apply to the water generator. So we need to look it over and see exactly how the timing would work. The decisions aren't made till June. So that might not be good.
Well, I don't think that we could get a generator actually installed at the water station much before June anyway.
Well, all of our associates is hoping that we can. So we'll see. It's a timing issue here.
How long have we been trying to get this one replaced?
I know.
I don't think we're just gonna pop out this
Oh, I
huge
know.
project.
I know, and they're all on back order too.
Yeah.
So we shall see. If it looks like the grant will be good, we'll go ahead and apply for it. It requires a 25% match.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
which,
Are we able to bid out both of our generators and get like a package?
So we
Would we
did
get
out-
better pricing?
We bid out that generator twice and got really high bids, and Bernard is now working on, with some electricians to get, maybe, a different, level of what wattage would be that could cover the building, and we could have it at a lower price, but still cover everything. So he's working on that now. So we do have the authority, if we find a generator, to go ahead and purchase that within a budget. However, if grant funding was available, that might be good. We'll have to look at the timing and see what it fits for. Or maybe it could fit for 2 generators, you don't know.
What would that 25% match look like?
It depends on the generator. The one for the water pumping station is a very expensive proposition. The one for this building should be a lot lower, like half the price.
So if it's $100,000
Yeah.
generator project,
25.
you have to pay 25% of it, so $25,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will look over this
I was
opportunity and see if it will work for us. I mean, we could apply and then do the bids and do everything and see what happens.
Well, we're certainly not gonna lose anything by applying for a grant.
No, except lots of paperwork.
It is a lot of paperwork.
Depending on what agency it is. But this is a good opportunity to look at.
Any other discussion, counselors? Anybody online wanna chime in about it? No? All right. All those in favor of resolution 20-161, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass.
It's the last resolution of 2020, guys.
Move on to discussion items.
All right, very good. Discussion items, very quickly, you have the department reports. Thank you to everybody online and everybody in the audience that did their reports so quickly. You also have the financial reports. I'm not going to read through all these. You can read them yourself. But I will note, since, wow, this is good timing here. For the budget expenditure report for November 30th, 2020, we would be through 91.7% of the period. Because we've been conserving and because we were closed down for a while, the amount of the municipal budget that's been expended is 73.6%. The amount of the municipal water and sewer is 66.8%. We have a massive amount of bills that came in all at once, and you saw them tonight, because they're all in the warrants for December. All the billings are running behind quite a bit of time. So I expect,
Seems like people are catching up though.
yes, they've started catching up, yeah, we're getting near the end of the year. So we probably will have a lot of bills in January, we're gonna start calling next Monday to try to get the bills, so we get them in the right period of time and don't have to do so many accounts receivables, but it'll be based upon what the companies can do. For the revenue collections report, again, we're through 91.7% of the period. 74.2% of the municipal revenues are in, and 71.9% of municipal water and sewer revenues are in. For excise tax collections, we are, at this time last year versus this year, we are $37,712 ahead of 2019 collections, regardless of the fact that we were closed for a couple of months. So that is very good. And then state revenue sharing, we are now $125,117 ahead of 2019 collections, which is excellent. So as long as the state legislature doesn't change the percentage of the state revenue sharing down like it was before, that will work out good for us in future years. A lot of our other revenue sources are quite a bit behind, or the funding has not come from the state. So these are our two largest ones, and luckily they're doing well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Counselors, I'm sorry, audience. Reports from the audience this evening. Anybody? Johnny?
Yeah, can I speak? I'm glad Vernon's still in attendance as our EMA guy, so you can hear what I have to say anyway. I don't know if the council and everybody's still aware that we've had some changes to mandate by our governor and the CDC with its recommendations for COVID-19. And to say the least, it's a little bit difficult, I guess. In those mandates, some of the things that have changed, that if somebody, a patron or somebody comes into one of our buildings and without a mask, refuses to leave, it is now a Class E crime. They can be charged with criminal trespass and removed off the premises. But one of the things that we need to deal with is, without pointing out any names or anything else, we have a mandate that if we're inside, we're supposed to be wearing masks. That's including councilors in this building. That's including buildings that the town employees frequent. And no matter what your political affiliation is, what your opinion is, whether you think it's right or wrong, whether you have a medical condition, whether you have a religious exemption or whatever else, it says that you'll have a mask on. And I've been getting a little bit of a hard time about it. If we got people that are working together in a vehicle, there's two people in a vehicle, they need to make sure that they have their masks on. And what's making me real nervous is that we're in flu season.
That what?
We're in flu season. So
I know.
it's regular flu season from now until April. So one of the other things we're going to look at is if one of us, with 3 employees left at the transfer station, one of us gets exposed, what are we going to do?
Right.
We probably ought to be looking at doing some memorandum of understandings with some other communities around us, whether it be Newport, Detroit, Burnham, whoever's got some other things going on, because I went around today and there are people, there are employees that are not wearing their masks in buildings. And I'm not the governor and I'm not the health police, but it's the way I feel about it is if 1 or 2 or 3 people are going to be deciding that they're not going to wear a mask, then it's either all or none. That's the way I look at it, because we're not setting a good example for other people. I just soon rip this thing off my face too. I don't like it. It makes me feel like I'm suffocating. But when other people can say that they're not going to do it and there's nothing that anybody can do about it, I think it's wrong, because again, it's not, we're not saying that you're going to spread the infection, but there's a bigger possibility. And we do have some employees, one of them being of retirement age, that is scared to death that he isn't going to make it to retirement. He's scared of this virus, and there's a lot of people that are scared of it. And I will tell you, there are people around that are making calls, because I mean calls from the CDC on businesses in this town. People are going in and taking pictures of people not wearing masks. And it's going to be a problem, because how can we set the example if we got people that are not willing to do it? Now, there are some employees that I think that whether they're essential or non-essential, that if they have sick time or whatever and they're scared of this thing, that they ought to be allowed to go home and use that sick time. We'll have to discuss that with Catherine, and she agrees.
So we already said they.
Yeah, and we agree. And that keeps somebody healthy in case we have somebody that does get the virus. We have somebody that we can call back in and they can take protective measures to make sure that we get the job done. But we have to do it one way or the other, and it's tough.
You only have 3 people up there?
There's 3 of us. In the next 2 weeks,
That
I went on
includes
vacation.
you?
That's
You?
not counting the truck driver, because we can't count the truck driver. So I went on vacation and I had a great vacation. I want to thank Catherine. I told her, thanked her, I got some time off that I needed before I accrued any more time.
We missed
At the end of the year, I get it right back. But anyway, I'm trying to get some of that out. Dave did a good job. Dave is taking a couple of weeks off around Christmas time, next week and the week after, and there's going to be 2 of us manning the facility for 5 days. So it doesn't take much for somebody to get sick, and we're going to...
Why are you down to only 3 people?
Because we have one that's out still, that can't come to work. But that being said, it's tough. We used to use pool from the fire department. That somebody was out of work, we don't have that luxury. So we've been chugging along. There's no complaints here, but I'm just worried about, you still got guys there. And the other thing that I have is, there are town employees that are calling out sick, that have symptoms, that are considered one or more of the symptoms of COVID. Whether it's COVID or not, I don't know, but they're being allowed to report back to work without having a test. I have a problem with that. If you're home puking, you got diarrhea, you got muscle aches, whether you got food poisoning, whatever it may be, you have some of those symptoms. Some people are asymptomatic and don't have any symptoms. But if you have any one of those list of symptoms by the CDC, we should be letting them stay home until they have a test.
So Donnie, you would work with Bernard and myself to take care of that situation.
Yeah.
As you know, we've had multiple quarantines.
Yes.
Just, because people were ill, so we're up to 7 of these now. So
Yeah.
if there's more, then we just need to deal with them.
Yeah, and Bernie's been real good about it.
Yeah,
This
he
past
has.
week, I've tried to bump into him, but he's doing his annual pump test, so he really hasn't been around, and I've been busy.
Well, he's right here on Zoom.
He is now, that's why I said I'm glad he's here now. 'Cause
So
I
you
can-
two need to discuss that and let me know what's going on.
Yeah, and we will. It's just that, I just think that people, just to know the seriousness of it, that people are scared to death of this. And if people are not willing to...
What the governor said last night in Pittsburgh, where they said they weren't going to enforce it, I think probably by the time she gets done talking to them, they may have changed their mind.
Yeah, I think she'll.
I think they probably will too, but, again, I just think it's considerate, I don't think that they do any good masks myself, but I don't force that opinion on anybody. I'm wearing one. If I can stop the spread of me spreading it to somebody else, then I'm gonna do my part. I think everybody should, as good
So,
stewards of the town.
are you saying that HIPAA now does not apply?
According to the governor's order, it says even if you have a medical condition, you are to wear a mask.
Yeah, if you read the order, what she indicated was stronger, but the order still backs it up. So it's not considered discrimination, but if they're gonna be in the building, they gotta wear the mask.
Despite the
Or at
social
least put
distancing.
something on.
You are required to provide accommodations to
Yes.
someone
Yes.
if they require it, and that would be participating from meetings via Zoom,
Correct.
doing business over the phone with someone that can't come into the office.
Yeah, and I have masks, so if somebody
do.
comes up to the recycling center
That's
and wants
not
to
an
get rid of it, I give them my
accommodation, though. You
mask.
still have, if you're in a building, you have to have a mask on.
Correct. And I think that there are people scared to death of it.
With some of these people that are licensed, like through the health people and the agriculture, they're gonna start lifting licenses. They've already done that in the southern part of the state, and they fined people quite heavily. One outfit down there got a 40 grand fine, but that was before this last mandate. These people are gonna liquor licenses to serve food. Don't want to enforce this, they're probably gonna have a problem if anybody makes a complaint.
They can't get them all.
So, does the governor make this order, do they send out a letter? Because I've never received a letter from Governor Mills saying that I need to wear a mask.
Well,
It's a proclamation, or.
Yeah, it was
Because I
all
don't-
over the news,
It's all.
I don't watch the news and I don't believe anything on Facebook or the internet.
Well, you can
That might be
sign
good.
up.
I try not to, but It is, it's a proclamation, you get on the website, maine.gov, and it tells you exactly what in her proclamation, what it says that
Yeah.
it's mandated to do.
Maine.gov has the proclamations. You can also sign up for Governor Mills's email, and she'll email you directly. You can sign up for the Department of Commerce. They'll email you any of the tiers for businesses and those types of things. The Health and Human Services has their own email. The CDC has its own email list you can sign up for. Department of Ag, they all have newsletters that they'll put out that will go through specifically the different requirements that they're having to meet because of the different orders and things. So it's pretty widely published.
I mean, we're doing some good things, like Chris and Jim at the water department, they each got a pickup. One of the ways that we talked about reducing it is that's their pickup. They can stay
Absolutely.
each one.
Yeah.
Same way, Steve, I think most of his trucks, when people are plowing and seeing it, they're pretty much, they like a truck, or they're assigned to a truck, and they jump in it, that's theirs.
Well, we don't have two guys, unless one guy's in training.
Right.
Yeah. But we may have two guys if we go out and do a task.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
that's fine, but they need to be masked while they're in the truck and while they're working.
If there's two of them, like I said, if there's one, that's fine, and we haven't been, people have been good about it, but that, I've noticed that we've been laxed on it, that if you're getting 3 or 4 different people and somebody was in it without a mask, then by rights, if somebody's gonna get in it, you're supposed to sanitize that before somebody else jumps in it.
Can
And
I call you for that?
No.
Well, Steve,
No.
it's as simple as keeping sanitizing wipes.
Yeah, you can
In
just
the
wipe
front
it down.
of the
And
truck,
nobody's-
you wipe down the steering wheel, all
Oh,
the
I
steering
know.
column, the hands,
Yeah, there's no reasonable anticipation that you're gonna have it 100%.
Right.
I mean, it's just, there's no way you
All
can do
right,
that.
so Donnie and Bernard will talk with the departments. I will do another memo, letter, and I did some emails just to go over this. I will say the town office is extremely fortunate. We have no one that has come in since the election, and even then, it was just a few people. And we were told by the Attorney General's office we could not deny them if they refused to put a mask on. So we have been extremely fortunate, and I think the library has been too.
Yeah,
That
and like I
people
said,
have
maybe we ought to
complied
be
easily.
talking, because it is snow plowing season, and we're gonna have ice and snow and all of that other stuff. And it was brought up, I was over the county the other day, and you got 2 guys in Palmyra plowing all of their roads, 54 miles of road.
Yeah.
If one of them or both of them get sick, we have a big storm, what's gonna happen? They're just not gonna, the town of Palmyra's not gonna be accessible for emergency vehicles or nothing for the next month because they couldn't plow. Same way Steve, if he had an outbreak of 2 or 3 people, maybe we need to start networking a little bit so we can have that coverage, because same way with us, if I got exposed and I'm sick and 2 of my guys are gone, I wouldn't wanna be on the other end of the phone for you guys after the second day that people couldn't get rid of trash, because they're gonna be screaming. We have a transfer station over Newport, maybe we could do the same thing. If something happens, that we just gotta,
So this would require, the department heads to do some networking with other towns.
yeah, I think so,
Which
yeah.
they already,
Steve, Donnie,
which they already
Bernard.
do,
Yeah.
and.
I mean, I
like,
know we have a mutual aid
Right.
The fire and
agreement for the
stuff, yeah.
fire department. And we've always been able to get help on police issues, either Newport or Somerset. I don't know if we actually have any kind of plan for public works though.
There is no mutual aid across Public Works
Yeah,
Department
for
from
Public
town
Works.
to town.
But you can talk to some other towns. Water Sewer has already made arrangements.
They do it with, they have the Clinton stuff. All it is just a little memorandum of understanding that we'll help each other out if we should happen to have an issue where we lose all our employees, that somebody could send an operator over here to man our water.
Yes, we have that.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're raising a very serious concern, and it's something that really needs to be taken into account, because there's a very real possibility that, one employee could be exposed and they go to work for 3 days with everybody else before they even know they were exposed. There's been so many cases now, the CDC is leaving it up to people that are exposed to do their own contact tracing and notify people.
Right.
And that doesn't always happen.
No, and
You
it's
know,
close to
there's a lot
home.
of gaps now because it's so prevalent. And, it can have a serious effect. We can end up, with our public works completely out. We can end up with our transfer station closed because we don't have any staff for it. the town office could be closed because we don't have staff for it.
And Newport
And it
just
can
went through
happen
it.
very quickly. So, thank you for raising the concern about it and thinking ahead about having memorandums of understanding where we can and where it's practical. I think we should. We have mutual aid agreements with police and fire, and it only makes sense, you know, these are essential services to the towns, and it makes sense to be prepared in that respect for that as well.
So the towns have asked the state on certain licensing and permits if we can send people to other towns in preparation, and so far there's not a response, but I suspect that that will be allowed, hopefully.
Well, the other concern with that is that, then you're pulling people from other towns into our operations, and does that also create some type of exposure risk? Not only for them coming, but, you know, for us being
Right.
here and having our operations affected as well.
But again, everybody's required to have a mask.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I want, just so we can get it out there to the public too, is you'll notice that our multi-bin container out back, a lot of people have been told that it's for the winter storms, and we did pull it for winter storms, so it makes it easier for Steve to plow. But it has been pulled because there has been a lot of infectious items that have been placed in the bins, including bloody mass and stuff like that. So we've pulled it for the time being, and whether, I just can't believe that, but it could be people from other towns. I mean, we're talking about breathing hoses, pieces of CPAP machines, to bloody inside of these type of masks that they've thrown in the newspaper, and tissues, and so for the safety of our guys, we're one of 6 towns that are still recycling, and I'm gonna keep it that way. They can just, so if they bring it to us, we can at least look at it and say, hey, listen, whoa, that goes out there, we don't wanna handle it. And so far, people have been very understanding about it, so.
Good.
It will come back at some point. It's just, right now, it was getting inundated with stuff that we didn't want. So again, I'll try to re-educate people to understand that after you use a tissue, and after you use a paper towel or whatever you're doing, and
It
you're
goes in
got it
the
around your
trash,
face and
not in
blowing
the
your nose, it goes in the
recycling.
trash. You shouldn't be going into recycling the paper. Matt can attest to this. I'm sure he knows the same thing that I'm talking about.
Well, one of the other problems you got is you have a few individuals that don't wanna travel all the way to the dump. They dump their trash in the recycle.
Yeah.
This is just a very.
And we get a few of them, and
very
that's,
few
and that's
people.
okay, but when it gets to the point where it has been, that's where it starts getting a little dangerous, so.
Well, it's a privilege, you know, it's just, it's a service, so, you know, just to show the people that we're serious about it, and that can be taken away if you're not using it responsibly.
And there's a lot of communities that are way over budget with their solid waste budgets because they've been throwing it all in the garbage. They're starting to find out how much they were actually saving by recycling and stuff, so.
Well, you're still providing the essential service of recycling. That was a convenience to have the can there.
Right.
So,
It was a nice service, but all the people we've explained it to said it was perfectly understandable.
Yeah, yeah, and they've been very good.
I
about it.
remember when it was up in the plaza, that was awful.
Yeah,
When people
between,
did use it as a garbage
it
can.
burned like 3 times, and they used it as trash can. Then we had actually, we were gonna put an address on it, because we had a transient that was living in it at one time for weeks at a time, and so, yeah, this here has been far better, but again, as we learn and get that education campaign, and maybe it's people that have fear coming to the transfer station because of all the garbage and the people that have handled stuff, and they're just afraid to be around that many people, and then say, well, it's easy for me just to toss it in there. Well, again, somebody has to handle it, so.
Right.
All right, so you will talk to me tomorrow?
Yes.
In Menard?
Yep.
Thank you.
anybody else from the audience have comments this
Just
evening?
trying to think of it, the way thing would work. Yeah.
No, we'll go to counselors. Pete, do you want to start us off?
Did you say my name?
Yeah.
I didn't catch it.
Do you have anything to report tonight, Pete?
The only thing I had was, I got in the mail today from Puritan as well, I'm sure you did. I just wanted to congratulate Puritan on this Inc. magazine named Puritan Medical Products Company of the Year. So I just wanted to congratulate them on it. That's all I had.
Okay. Amanda?
I was going to say the same thing. Congrats to Puritan. That's really exciting to be recognized at a world-class level for their accomplishments, so that's very exciting. Also, I'd like to thank the department heads for being here tonight. I'd also like to mention that Thursday, last week on the 10th, we had a food drive that was very successful up at the Shop and Save, and we were able to collect a lot of donations. Next year, we're hoping to actually be able to weigh them so that we'll know how much we had, but we really packed that full that they had to be able to sort and organize. And we also, in food donations, we got a lot, but we also had a lot of money in donations as well, which will help both Pittsfield and Palmyra food pantries out a lot. We're also working on getting the Pittsfield Food Pantry set up on Facebook, so be on the lookout for them. He's learning. We're working really hard to be able to get that ready, and he'll hopefully get to the point where we can start posting what their needs are. So we're excited about that. Also, next Tuesday, on the 22nd, the Good Shepherd Food Bank they have partnered with local farmers to provide 500 boxes of food for the community. The pickup's going to begin at 9 a.m. At the municipal building. This is a first come, first serve event, and the team, which includes members from Pittsfield Fire Department, Pittsfield Police Department, the Somerset County Sheriff Department, and Maine State Police will all be there until the boxes are gone. So, great things happening in our community, and I'm grateful for everybody who was able to give.
Excellent. Thank you. Deborah?
I'd like to say thank you to the department heads for being here tonight, and I'd like to thank in particular Catherine, Donnie, and Bernard for the work they do to keep us safe. I'd like to, at the beginning of the year, try and come up with a couple different plans. One would be to find a way to increase volunteerism, and the other is to talk about how big these packets are and how we can make them smaller. And other than wishing everyone happy holidays and hope everyone is safe, I have no more to report.
Okay. Thank you. Matt?
No report.
Okay. I just have a couple things. Want to wish everybody happy holidays. Hope you can find time with small groups of family as you can, and find the joy in the little things. Thank you to the staff, all the department heads for the work that they put in on their end of year projects and getting their budgets in, and just the day-to-day operations that have been very difficult this year with all the changing regulations, the additional workloads, the challenges of having people in and out and available. Also with the elections that were held, placed a lot of strain on the process that we have and the people that we have working, and the challenges of working from home. You know, people have been making a lot of changes, not only the challenge of actually having your work in your home, but then also having family and children there as well, as the case may be. And there's a lot of, people are under a lot of stress, and the holidays can be added stress to that as well. So I hope that everybody can find some peace and quiet in their holiday season, as well as some joy in everything that they have to be thankful for. And I hope everyone remains healthy and can do everything they can to keep people around them healthy as well. And I wish you all well for the coming winter solstice next week, when the daylight starts to creep back in again.
Not fast enough.
Not fast enough.
It goes away really quick.
It does.
sunlight,
It just
but then
slow
it's like
crawls to come back.
crawls back in, yeah.
So we just wish you well, and we're looking for a motion.
When we adjourn?
Second?
Deb and Matt. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
We do have executive session on
We have
Thursday, right?
executive session on
And that's at
Thursday
5.
evening at 6:30.
feet.
Is it at
and
6:30?
it's full below your-
I thought it was at 5. It's not on the calendar, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.